finally happened. I've made the tech video. Something I've wanted to do for years. I think I just needed something truly monumental to push me over the edge to do it. And yes, I'm talking about the pending announcement of the most anticipated Apple MacBook Pro ever. The soon-to-be revealed, newly designed 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros. Hi, I'm Derek Su and welcome to Tech Time. So why am I so juiced? Well, I've been a MacBook Pro user for many years. I'm talking predating Pismo days, owning pretty much every model there'd ever been. I've loved every MacBook, but there was always some shortfall that stopped it from being my absolute dream machine. Well, tomorrow's announcement may change all that. That's not to say the current Apple Silicon M1 MacBook Pros aren't any good. They're great. In fact, I was so impressed with them last year, I picked up one and it's quickly replaced my maxed out 16-inch MacBook Pro, being just as snappy and sometimes even faster on some single-core stuff like bouncing an audio track on GarageBand. Plus, of course, it has amazing 20-hour battery life and runs super cool and quiet. But it does have some limitations as a true pro machine. First, it's only got two USB-C Thunderbolt ports. RAM can only be maxed out to 16 gigabytes, although it is Apple's much better unified memory, it still wasn't able to match the performance of the 64 gig I had on my 16. Graphics performance can't compare with the dedicated graphics of the 16, and the M1 MacBook Pro is also only limited to one external display. And of course, a supremely outdated 720p camera. Shame on you, Apple. The new machines address all these issues with some extra bonuses to boot. So let's quickly do a recap of the rumors that have been circulating since the first M1 MacBook Pros got released last year. The 14-inch MacBook Pro rumors got going in January, with some saying the new machines would drop in March or April. That of course didn't happen, but we did get some details from Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, who shared there would be a new flat edge design, taking cues from the iPhone 12, a return of the HDMI port, SD card slot, plus a comeback of one of the most beloved MacBook features, MagSafe. He also said the touch bar, which was introduced in the current design, will be next. Around April, some stolen schematics from one of Apple's manufacturing partners, Quanta, surfaced, confirming some of the poor details and giving some insight into the new redesign. Then in May, there was anticipation that maybe, just maybe, the new MacBook Pros would be released at WWDC in June. But again, that didn't happen. The rumors pushed the dates out to sometime in September, October, blaming the delays on component shortages due to COVID. September, of course, rolled around. We got the new iPhone 13, iPad mini, and Apple Watch 7, but still no new MacBook Pros. And so here we are in October, and finally that event invitation we've all been waiting for dropped earlier this week. We also got some new surprising details when display analyst Ross Young suggested on a tweet back on October 13th that ProMotion 120Hz displays will be included in the new MacBook Pros. The same tech Apple have put in their iPad Pros and iPhone Pros. Now, it's apparently a pretty big deal, and lots of people are super excited. As a non-gamer myself, I haven't experienced such high refresh rates on big screens, so I'm still not sure of the value. However, I have noticed a nicer, smoother, and more refined experience on the iPhone 13 Pro, so if the rumors are true, I'm looking forward to discover how much better an experience ProMotion may bring to these new machines. Alright, so that about wraps up the key rumors over the last year. Here's a summary of the key points with some additional specs that have come to light in the last few days. First up, let's take a look at the 14-inch machine, which showcases much greater upgrades from the current 13-inch Intel MacBook Pro. The new M1X or M2 processor is said to have double the high performance cores with 8 compared to 4 of the M1. GPU is expected to be 2 to 4x with the M1 with 16 to 32 cores and support for more than one display. RAM should come standard with 16 GB for both models, upgradable to 32 GB, and the storage SSD capacity is said to be increased up to 8 TB, up from 2 for the M1 and 4 for the Intel. We get the return of the ports, 3 USB 4, Thunderbolt 3 ports, HDMI, MagSafe for power, and possible Ethernet port in the power brick, like the new iMacs, and of course the SD card slot. They're going to remove the touch bar with standard function keys. Screen resolution will increase to 324 by 1964, giving a better pixel density ratio of 250 ppi. And finally, the long-awaited upgraded 1080p webcam. Plus, of course, we're expecting an insane battery life of 20 plus hours. For the 16-inch, I think the biggest differences will be the chance to enjoy the better Apple Silicon at a much cooler temperature and less noisy fan action of the current Intel machine. A not uncommon complaint of the current users, including myself. And I'm sure MagSafe, the HDMI port, SD card slot, and the increased resolution will also be welcome updates. The new MacBook Pro 14 and 16 will represent pro-level performance in the most functional form factor, bringing back the best from the previous generation Retina MacBook Pros with the extra ports, SD card slot, and MagSafe, and marrying it with the latest tech in display and Apple Silicon. I can't wait. Now, I've been really happy that Apple stopped their habit of only making available the top spec on their biggest machines, with this year's iPhone 13 Pro getting the same spec camera as its big brother Macs, and I am hoping the new pattern will play out for the new MacBook Pro 14 as well. That is to say, it'll be given the same treatment as a 16-inch, because I'm really keen on the 14. So, I'm curious, what size are you getting for? What features excite you most? Are there any features you wish that we haven't covered? Drop a comment below, I'd really love to know. Now, there is one more thing. According to Painterly Apple back in December 2020, Apple filed for a patent for a special intense light absorbent matte black finish for a range of products, including the MacBook. Now that would be sweet. As for availability, Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo mentioned in July that these new MacBook Pros would be in production in the third quarter, which just passed, which means, if true, the new MacBook Pros could be available as soon as a week from tomorrow's announcement, and pre-orders starting as early as the next day. Fingers crossed. Okay, that's it for my MacBook Pro pre-event roundup. Hold on to your seats. We may not be going to space like Star Trek's William Shatner just did, but this will be pretty darn close.